Good morning, everyone. We are just waiting for people to join the webinar and we will be starting shortly. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, people have trickled in and anyone who wants to join can still join while the webinar is starting. But before anything, we would like to say good morning and we would like to welcome everyone to today's session of Certificate in Law for a program overview and application overview. We are very happy today to have our program team to be part of this webinar, as well as students and alumni to share their program experience. Before anything, we would like to start with some housekeeping tips. So everyone will be muted during the presentation so that we could focus on the speakers. You could type in your questions all throughout the session, but we will answer the questions during the Q&A. And the chat box is ready there and we'll be accommodating questions there. We will be providing links to resources which can be found in the chat, and we will also be sending a feedback survey via email with important links and information. Please note as well that Queen's Faculty of Law offers several programs. Today's program is about Certificate in Law. For the other programs, please visit law.queensu.ca. Lastly, this session will be recorded and content may be shared on the website and on the social platforms of Certificate in Law. So thank you again for joining us. Let's get started. And we will now introduce the speakers. We can proceed to the next slide. Thank you so much. We would like to introduce the speakers. First, we have Hugo Choquette, the Academic Director of Certificate in Law. We also have Amanda Blair, the Program Coordinator of Certificate in Law. We also have our student representatives who are graduates and current students of Certificate in Law. So we have Lucy Schafer, as well as Erwin Schultz. So we can proceed to the next slide. And with this, we will first watch a video overview about Certificate in Law.
The Queen's Certificate in Law is Canada's only online program designed to provide everybody with an introductory legal education covering many areas of law. Whether you're interested in pursuing law school, sharpening your professional skills, or just gaining knowledge, the Certificate in Law is right for you. The Queen's Certificate in Law offers 7 courses, including Introduction to Canadian Law, Corporate Law, Aboriginal Law, Workplace Law, Public and Constitutional Law, Intellectual Property, and International Law. Successful completion of 4 courses will grant you a certificate from Queen's University. You can also just take 1 or 2 courses that interest you. To find out more about the Queen's Certificate in Law, visit takelaw.ca.
Thank you very much for that. Now we have Hugo Choquette, the Academic Director of Certificate in Law, to talk more about the program.
Thank you very much, Christina, and thank you for being here, everybody, today. I'm going to keep my remarks fairly brief, but I just want to introduce the program. So if we could move to the next slide, please. So the Certificate in Law program launched in 2017, and as you just heard, it consists of 7 courses. It's an undergraduate certificate program, which means it is designed for undergraduate students and students who are not law students, but it does have the backing of, and one of the unique features of the certificate program is that it does bring the expertise of Queen's Faculty of Law to bear on teaching the courses. And so, you know, the instructors, the TAs, our teaching assistants in the courses are all law students, and the instructors are all faculty from the Faculty of Law. And here you see some key points about Queen's Faculty of Law. And as certificate students, you are part of the Faculty in Law student body. You're not law students, as in you're not obtaining a law degree, but you are part of the Faculty of Law family, so to speak. And you can see that, you know, Queen's Law is a very dynamic and well-positioned faculty. And, you know, a lot of these advantages are also come to be found in the certificate as well. Next slide, please. So I let Amanda and our student representatives here talk more about the mechanics and how the program can help you. But just to give you an overview of what the program is meant to accomplish, it's designed really it's an online learning program. There's only one of our courses that we offer on campus, and that's our Introduction to Canadian Law, one version of it. We also offer an online version of it. And the idea is that you're able to finish this in a reasonable amount of time, usually in either 2 terms or 2 years. There's 3, so you're taking 4 courses out of the 7 that we offer, 4 of the 3 credit courses, and we offer a total of 7. You can take more than 4 if you so wish, but you know to get the certificate, you only need to take 4. As I mentioned, most of these courses are entirely online. And the coursework in most of the courses is self-paced, so it's mostly done on your own schedule. There are some synchronous activities though that also allow you to establish a connection with the instructor and other students in the course, which are also great opportunities. So all of our courses build in some component that is a synchronous activity. And really the idea is to get you to gain a foundational understanding of law. So this isn't a law degree in the sense that it doesn't make you a lawyer, but it will give you an understanding of law and how law works that will help you in your other career paths and will serve you in whatever you choose to do in the future. We also have many of our students who choose to go on to pursue more legal studies after taking the certificate. So as I already mentioned, all of our courses are taught by experts in their field and are also TAs, so the teaching assistants in the courses are all law students. So that's another great opportunity for our students to get to experience, what it's like to be a law student through their teaching assistants and to have some idea of what law school is like, if that's something that they're interested in doing. Next slide, please. So in terms of the courses that we offer our General Introduction to Canadian Law course. As I mentioned, that is the only course that we also offer in an in-person version on campus. And we do recommend, we don't require it, but we do recommend that if you are interested in the program, you start with that course because it will provide you with a really great foundation for all of the other courses. We have an Aboriginal law course, which explores interactions between Indigenous peoples and the Canadian state. We have a workplace law course, and that's one that can be relevant to you in all circumstances because everyone has to interact with law in the workplace in some way. And so that's really a key skill and knowledge base to have. We have a corporate law course, which may be of interest to many people. A public and constitutional law course, which is also, builds on what you've learned in the Introduction to Canadian Law course. And it's also, a great course just for general knowledge as an informed citizen. We have an intellectual property law course, which might be of interest to many people, but including those who may be involved in creative areas or in scientific areas where they might need to know patent law, for example. And finally, we have an international law course, which is also extremely interesting for many students. So those are the 7 courses we offer. And as I mentioned, you can take any 4 of those to make up your certificate. So I'm going to leave it there. And I'm going to turn it over to Amanda to explain more about how you register in the program. Well, actually, yes, sorry, there is this slide that I should also talk about a little bit. It is important. So I will say a few things about this. So, the purpose of why take a certificate in law? Well, the certificate in law can certainly help you whatever other area you choose to pursue later. As I mentioned, it gives you a foundational knowledge of law. And law, as we know, affects every area, that you might be involved in. So certainly the skills that you gain from studying in the certificate will help you whatever you choose to do. Many of our students have found that this is an important tool for their professional development, and will help them in their careers. You may be interested as well in finding out whether you want to pursue legal studies in some form later on, and it's a really good way of finding that out. It's a really good barometer for you if you are interested in possibly pursuing law school or other legal studies. And finally, it just allows you to distinguish yourself from other candidates in a competitive job market. It allows you that additional skill, and it does give you that ability to say that you have that knowledge of law that will be useful in whatever area you choose to work. So, as I said, I will now turn it over to Amanda to give you a better idea of how you register and how you take the courses. But I'm happy to answer questions at the end. And thank you very much again.
Thanks, Hugo. This is your slide too, though, isn't it, Hugo?
Yeah, I can certainly
want to
speak to this
this, or do
briefly.
you want me
Sure.
to?
Yeah. So we have two of our students here that may be able to speak more to this kind, to why they took the certificate, and we have certainly a number of our students who have gone on to do very interesting things with the certificate. So we have many of our students who go on to careers in education, government and politics, or, and I should point this out as well, we have students that are already in careers in those fields who take our courses for professional advancement. So we do have students, at a variety of different career points. We have had engineers take our courses, students who are interested in business, students who are interested in creative work. So we have a wide variety of students. And one of the great things about these courses is that you get to learn from the experience of those students as well, and what they bring to the table. So it's one of the great advantages of the certificate. All right, I think I am done now. Sorry.
Yes, and thank you so much, Hugo, for that overview about certificate in law and about law, Queen's Faculty of Law in general. So now we have Amanda Blair, the program coordinator of certificate in law, to talk more about the program application process.
Great, thanks, Christina. So we can go to the next slide. We're going to first do an overview of the program structure of the certificate in law. This particular slide relates to students who are actually on campus, or they're distance students. So they're completing a degree. So this would be arts and science online. So the steps to do this would be the first two courses you would take at the 200 level. You would take these courses at the 200 level. You would be assessed your home faculty tuition rate. You could also count them as electives towards your degree program. Another good option for some students is that they substitute one of our core law courses for Commerce 382, EMPR 210, or Philosophy of Law 318. And you can use one of these courses, again, as the substitute of a 200 level course. You're not able to do this in place of a 700 level course. And then step 3 would be to take your 2 courses at the 700 level. And for these courses, you would be assessed the Faculty of Law tuition rate. Now, a lot of students ask what the difference between the 200 and the 700 level is. Mainly, it is for registration purposes. So the 200 level, again, are used as electives, and you're assessed home faculty rates, where the 700 level courses will not count towards your degree program, but they are included in your overall GPA. So the certificate in law was initially designed to complement a student's degree. So taking these 2 extra courses at the 700 level would be above and beyond your degree requirements. But otherwise, yeah. So we could move to the next slide. So then this one would be for all of those students, the external students and interest students, the non-degree interest law students. So these students would need to be taking all 4 courses at the 700 level. So again, and this would also be at the Faculty of Law tuition rate. As Hugo alluded to before, we do recommend that you start with that Introduction to Canadian Law course. Interest students are able to initially when they first get admitted to the program, they're as an interest student, but you can be matriculated into the program. So how that works is that you need to complete the first 2 courses. And as long as you meet academic progression, which is a minimum final grade of C+, you would then be moved automatically into the program. So how it works is you don't have to reapply or anything. What happens is after the second course is done, and we notice that your final grade, you have received the 2 final grades of C+ or higher, we'll automatically do it, and we'll just send you an email letting you know that you're now in the program, so you can complete the 2 remaining courses. And now this does apply to all students, and it doesn't matter what category, whether you're on campus, external, interest. The minimum requirement is that you need to have a C+. So if you don't meet this criteria, you will need to either retake the course, or you can enroll in one of the other courses that we offer. We can go to the next slide, please. So this is our course offerings. So winter of 2023, summer of 2023, and fall. As you can see, not all of our courses are offered every term. So we do recommend that you go to our About page on takelaw.ca, and down closer to the bottom of the page, there is a course offering schedule. So it'll give you a better idea on how you want to plan your courses out. Introduction to Canadian Law is offered every term, fall, winter, and summer. Fall and winter, it's offered as a blended course on campus and also as an online course. And as an example, workplace law in winter term is only offered in January in winter term. And as another example, public and constitutional law is only offered in the winter term and summer term. So as you can see, we do try and offer our courses at least once or twice throughout the academic year. All right, if we could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So the biggest question we get all the time is, how much does it cost? So there is, when you're submitting your application for the certificate or as a non-degree interest student, there is a $100 application fee. This can be paid, this is made payable to undergrad admissions. You can pay by a MasterCard, a Visa, or a prepaid Visa. And all the 200 level courses, as we just talked about, you would be assessed your home faculty tuition rate. And 700 level courses for fall, winter, for domestic within Ontario, the cost would be $11.34. And if you're outside of Ontario or and you're still domestic, it would be $1,190.70. And there are some fees for international too, and that can all be found on our About page. There is it outlines all of the tuition fees, and it will give you links to the registrar's office, the Office of the University Registrar website, to give you more information on the tuition fees and when they would be due, how, methods of payment, anything like that. Another question we get a lot is students if they can apply for financial aid. So the quick answer is yes. You may be eligible for financial aid to take the program. To do that, again, on our About page, we do underneath the tuition, there is further information on student awards. If you go to their website, all the information is there, or you can contact their office and they can provide more assistance with you on that. One thing to note is that the non-degree interest category, you're not eligible for financial aid. However, once you get matriculated into the program for the last two courses, you could potentially be eligible for the program. Now, just one other thing to note with costs. So a lot of students ask about additional costs to the courses. So textbooks would be the only other cost for that. So they kind of range, all the textbooks costs vary and range from about $70 to $130. If you go to our courses page on the takelaw.ca, at the bottom of each course page, there is textbook coursework information, and it outlines the textbook. So you can order it directly through the Queen's Campus bookstore, directly through the publisher, or you can even go off on your own and get it through a third-party website such as Amazon or something like that. You could do that. Two courses. Not all of our courses do have mandatory textbooks. Two of our courses, Aboriginal Law and Public and Constitutional Law, do not have textbooks. So all of your readings will be provided and they'll be included once you get into the course. Okay, and the next slide, please. So admissions. Admissions into the program is based solely on GPA. So if you have a successful completion of at least 1 year of studies, or you have completed university, you need to have a GPA of 2.6 or higher. And for those that have been in college and you have a 2-year diploma or 2 years of a 3-year full-time advanced diploma program, and you have a GPA of 2.9 or higher, you will automatically be admitted to the program. So there's no additional, other than submitting your transcript from your recognized college or university, there's no other, you don't have to send, answer questions or anything like that. It's just based solely on the GPA. So for those students who don't meet admission criteria or don't have access to get their official transcript, a lot of those students will then apply as a non-degree interest student, as no supporting documentation is required. The only stipulation is that at the time of submitting your application, you must be 21 years of age or older. And applications for the upcoming winter 2023 term close on December 1st, and those classes start on January 9th. Another quick thing to point out with our admissions is if you go to our apply page on the takelaw.ca, at the top of the page, there are 2 red boxes. The first one is a PDF. It's a step-by-step guide that'll show you the process, take you through the process with screenshots and that to help you through that admission when you're submitting your application through undergrad admissions. And then there's the second one is the actual link to the undergrad admissions application portal. So anything is there. And again, obviously, if you have any questions or whatnot, you can contact our team as well. And I think that's it for me.
So thank you so much, Amanda, for explaining more about the application process. Before we continue, I've seen some questions come in. Thank you so much for sending those over. We will be answering them shortly during the Q&A session. And for everyone else who have questions at the moment, please feel free to type them in the Q&A box or the chat. So continuing with the session, I would just now like to introduce our student representatives. So we have Lucy Schafer, who is a certificate in law graduate and is currently the marketing and communications coordinator for Queen's Faculty of Arts and Sciences. We also have Erwin Schultz, a certificate in law student who is a member of the intellectual property group. So they will be sharing their experiences about certificate in law. Basically, they will be talking about what their current role is, what motivated them to take the program, what are the things they like about certificate in law, their favorite courses, how it's helping them in their current career, and any advice that they could give to prospective students. So I think we will start with Lucy and then Erwin will follow after.
Terrific. Thank you. So my name is Lucy and I am currently marketing and communications coordinator at the Faculty of Arts and Science at Queen's University. And I wanted to take this program because I actually previously was working in the Faculty of Law, and I was working really closely with the certificate. And I had heard such amazing things. I worked really closely with some of our students and just heard really, really positive feedback. And I was incredibly interested just from a personal perspective to see what it was like and to take the courses that I was promoting to other people. And I started the process in, I believe, January of 2020. I took 4 courses and I did it over 4 terms. So it took me about a year and a half. Surprisingly, it felt much faster than that. And I took Introduction to Canadian Law first. I took Aboriginal Law. I also took Workplace Law and Corporate Law. So if you have any questions about those 4 courses in particular, feel free to ask me during the Q&A at the end. I, for one, really enjoyed the way that the courses were really application-based. I liked that there was a lot of ways that you could get your grades, but that it was also very much about applying the knowledge in a really practical way. So the assignments, obviously there was quizzes that you did sometimes on a weekly basis, just to test your knowledge, make sure you're staying up to date with the course. But there was also different fact patterns that you would look at a case and be able to kind of apply the knowledge that you learned to a specific situation. And there was mock trials and negotiation processes where you'd actually have a client that you're working with or a side that you're trying to argue, and you'd actually go into kind of a mock trial situation. For example, in workplace law, there was a human rights tribunal that we went to, and you really get into the spirit of it. It's very, when you're advocating for your client and your side. So I liked that everything was very, very application based. And I find that it helps me both in workplace. I would say probably workplace law helps me the most in terms of my current role in my job, just because I am unionized as working for Queen's. And so I didn't really know anything about a union or the collective bargaining process and what that looked like. And I learned a lot of that from workplace law. So it was really interesting to learn more about those kinds of things and how it relates to me as a unionized employee. And then all the other courses, honestly, just knowing more about what's going on in the world, even just the way that I read the news now and know what's going on at the government level, especially taking the courses during the pandemic and trying to know what your rights are as an individual. That was, of course, as everyone knows, a very hot topic of the last 2 years. So to have kind of that understanding of constitutional law and what your rights are and kind of like government policies and kind of the division of power of who actually makes the policies. Is it the federal government or municipalities? It just helps you have a better understanding of who you are as a Canadian. So that just also changes the way that I view things on a daily basis. And I'm very thankful for the courses that I was able to take. And if I have any advice that I can give to prospective students, dive in, try the intro course. It's nice because you get to look at different parts of law and really take that one course, see if you're interested in it. No matter what, you're going to gain something out of it. And it'll help you kind of see what path of law that you're really interested in, what courses you want to take, because it dives really nicely into every single topic and area. So yeah, and I'm happy to answer any questions at the end if anyone has them. But for now, I'll pass it off to Erwin.
Thanks, Lucy. I mean, all I can say is I can only build on your previous comments. Me personally, I work as a patent agent for a big Montreal-based law firm. So I'm actually working in law on a daily basis, more specifically in patent law. And because of my interest in law, I said, you know what, I'd like to know more about other aspects of law, which led me to the Queen's Certificate. On my end, since I work in patent law, I want to maybe have a better understanding of other aspects of IP, such as trademarks, which I never touched. I want to know more about how license agreements are drafted. So I got that from the IP course as well. On my end, I took the constitutional course. I took the workplace law. I've taken 4 courses so far, but I intend on taking all 7 of them since I'm just hooked on this program. So I want to do them all. If Queens were to add additional courses, I will take those as well. From my perspective, how did it help me? More specifically, I see case law coming by my desk practically every day. So the certificate helped me to understand how decisions are structured, how they're drafted, give me a better aspect of how to analyze and draw conclusions from them. Also working in a law firm, I was interested in how unions work, as Lucy mentioned. The interactions, how law manages the workplace environment. So I got that from the certificate as well. So basically, and then also going forward, the constitutional law courses were just phenomenal. And now in my daily life, when I see decisions come by, which are basically outside of my practice area, I still read up on them. I see something go by, a recent Supreme Court decision, for example, and sometimes I see certain keywords come by that I saw during my certificate course. So I'll pick up on those decisions as well. I will read them, have a better understanding of how to read them. So in essence, I find the certificate is an incredible program that I would highly recommend to anybody taking. Law being what it is, it complements, I think, any background, whether you have a science background, engineering background. I think any knowledge of law complements whatever background you have. And these are my 2 cents.
Thank you so much, Erwin, and thank you so much, Lucy, for your insights. Definitely a lot to take in there, and thank you so much for sharing your experience about certificate in law. We will now go to the Q&A session, and we will try to get through as many questions as we could. So we'll start first with the ones that are in the Q&A box. This is for Amanda. So the 700 level courses, do they count as electives or not?
Yes, it would help if I unmuted myself. Yes, no, sorry, they do not. So 700 level courses do not count towards the degree requirements if you're a current student. They only count towards the certificate. They don't count, the only ones that count as electives are the 200 level courses because you're being assessed your home faculty fees. But again, the 700 level courses are included in your GPA.
That's great. Thank you, Amanda.
And on your academic record, so it'll show on your transcript.
Yeah. The next question is actually still related to it. Is Introduction to Canadian Law a 200 or 700 level class? So I think
all 7 courses. Yeah. So all 7 courses when you're registering the course, you have the, as a current student, you have the option to enroll in the course as a 200 and a 700 level student. Whereas if you're a distance student, you may see them, but you won't have access to them. So yeah, no, all courses are offered at both levels. So when you're in the course, your classmates are at the 200 level and the 700 level. So they could be interest students, they could be on-campus students.
Great. The next question is related to fees. So when are the fees due for the January courses?
January 10th, I believe, is the date that everything needs to be due for winter term.
Perfect.
Unfortunately, they don't have any kind of payment plans or anything like that. The Office of the University Registrar doesn't. So unfortunately, all fees would be due for winter term on January 10th.
Okay, great. The next question, I'll direct this to Hugo. Is there an option to attend classes in person, specifically for Introduction to Canadian Law? And I think we can also talk about the advantages of attending it in person.
Yeah, so we do offer, that is the one course, Introduction to Canadian Law, that we do offer on campus in person. It takes place usually on Thursday evenings. And the neat thing about that course is that each week, so I teach the introductory 2 weeks of the course, but then each week after that, you have a different instructor who is usually the course author who's put together the materials for that week. And so they come and give a live lecture. And so many of our instructors are actually excellent speakers, and students find they get a lot out of hearing them speak live. So we do offer that course, and it is offered on campus in winter and fall terms, not in the summertime. So it's offered this winter, and it will be offered again next fall.
Yeah, thank you, Hugo. And I would just like to add, just attending an in-person class will give you a different experience. It's more interactive, it's more engaging. The online classes are great, but it's still different when you do it in person, and you have the experience of being in Queen's University and see the campus. So
Actually,
yeah, sure.
Sorry, I just wanted to pipe in, Christina. I just also wanted to do the kind of like a disclaimer. So there is the Law 2-1 is offered as an in-class course, but unfortunately only those students who are on campus currently completing a degree can take that. So unfortunately, an interest student or a distance student is unable to attend the course. It's just for students on campus.
Perfect. Thank you for that clarification. Speaking of courses, the next question is for Hugo and Amanda again. What is the duration of each course, and how many weeks does each course last?
Yeah, so all courses are done on a term basis, so it's over a 12-week period. Each course is broken out into On-Q, which is the program that the students use to access all of their course materials and lectures and readings and all of that. So the courses are broken out into modules, and they each last approximately 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the course. So it's 12 weeks, and then you would have your final assessment at the end of that. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Hugo?
No, not really. Only to say that, in most of the courses, I think the bulk of the synchronous activities, so the activities where you actually have to participate live, come towards the end of the course. So you do have some time to prepare for those.
Great. And since Hugo is here, the next question is, I guess, for Hugo, what is the difference between workplace law and corporate law?
Right. So workplace law deals with, your rights as a worker and an employee, and also, laws relating to employment directly and what happens in the workplace. Whereas corporate law talks about business structures and how businesses are structured, and not just corporations, but also, but primarily that's the main legal structure for business in Canada. So we do talk a lot in corporate law about how corporations are run, and how they interact with law.
Thank you, Hugo, for that clarification. The next question is about application requirements. So my latest full-time college or university transcripts are not available. I have more recent university courses, but as part-time. Can I qualify as an interest student? I think I direct this to Amanda.
Yeah, so in this case, yes, you would only qualify as an interest student if you can't contact your university or college and get, so when undergrad admissions is assessing all the applications, they do require an official transcript. So if you don't have that, then you would need to apply as an interest student. You may have part-time, but unfortunately you had to have completed at least 1 year of full-time studies, or again, the degree or diploma to be able to be admitted to the program.
Perfect. Thanks, Amanda. And since you're there, the next question is still for you.
Yeah.
I have a science degree from Queen's in 1995. Would I be applying as a degree applicant and try to locate my student number, or as an external or interest student?
So you can, if you are an alumni of Queen's, I do recommend that you contact the Office of the University Registrar. They'll ask you a couple of questions and they can help you access your old student number, just as a side note. But I think as a student, I'd have to look at unfortunately, I don't have much to do with the application because that's through undergrad admissions, but I believe you could apply as an external or interest student. Or I think actually one of the options is an alumni. So you can do that, because if you had taken any courses previous to your graduation, they could be transferred over. But yeah, no, I think there is a spot just as an alumni on there as well that you could put in.
Perfect. Thanks, Amanda. The next question is, there's still considerable vacancy for the program and classes in 2023. I would say there are a lot of vacancies. There are still spots available, but of course, spots are limited. So we would suggest that you submit your application so that we could process it and you could apply. And Amanda, if you'd like to add to that, please feel free.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, some of the courses do get to capacity, but we do have a wait list that you could add yourself to. And during the add drop period in January, which is the first 3 weeks in January, students are often adding and dropping courses. So there's quite a bit of movement. So even if you do get onto a wait list, more times than not, you will get into the course. But unfortunately, we just can't guarantee admittance into a specific course.
Perfect. Thank you, Amanda. The next question is for Hugo or Erwin or Lucy, if you could answer this. I work in foreign direct investments attraction, and I have to answer questions from multinational corporations or MNCs regarding labor regulations. Would you recommend workplace law as a course to improve my advice to MNC?
I may turn that over to Lucy or Erwin. I'm not sure which. I know, Lucy, you took workplace law, so maybe you can speak a bit to whether that's covered in.
Yeah. I don't know the particulars about like what you're working with in your specific position, but I don't know. I find it gives a really good broad overview and it would be applicable. I can't speak to like specifically the role that you're in, but I know that like it has a very high level understanding of workplace law. Yeah, I don't see it being a negative thing. I don't know, Erwin, maybe you can speak to it more, but
I would simply say it would at least provide you with a more informed response to your clients.
Yeah, it'll give you a background knowledge of the laws of employment in Canada more generally, but also specifically in Ontario. So that certainly will be a help to you in responding to questions around labor regulation for sure.
Great. Thanks, Hugo. The next question is directed to Hugo. Are there any law courses available, such as family law?
We don't currently have a family law course, but we do discuss some issues around, in particular, child welfare issues in the Aboriginal law course, for example, where we deal with how those issues impact Indigenous peoples. And we do also, through some aspects of the introduction to Canadian law course and criminal law, for example, there are some elements that touch on, family law in general, but we don't actually currently have a course on family law.
Okay. The next question is for Amanda. It's still about the program length.
Yep.
You said that the terms are 12 weeks and said something about the modules being 1 to 2 weeks. Do you mean each module is 1 to 2 weeks and they add up to a course of 12 weeks? So I guess we just have to clarify the course length in general.
So basically the course again is the courses are done over a 12-week period. And the modules within your on-cue break out into 1 to 2 weeks. So they will add up to a total of 12 weeks.
Okay, I hope that clarifies things. Thank you for that. Do you have a special price for military personnel?
No, unfortunately, there is not. The Office of the University Registrar doesn't have any discounts, unfortunately, for military or mature students or anything like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. The next question is still for Amanda. I'm an interest student and have been asked to get my high school and college transcripts from the Institute. As I understand from this presentation, interest students don't need that. Can you please clarify?
Yeah, I don't, you'd have to contact me directly. So law certificate at queensu.ca. So I could have a look at your student account. But no, student, if you're applied as an interest student, you should not have been asked to submit your high school or college transcripts. So maybe it's quite possible that somehow you accidentally applied to the program as opposed to the interest category. So we can look into that further if you contact me directly.
Thanks, Amanda. Still on the topic of interest students, if you've selected to apply as an interest student for the program, can you possibly qualify for another area or change your category?
Sorry, can you, I like reading them along with you and I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that's okay. It was the first question. If you select the interest program, but you also qualify for another category, can you change it?
If you've already submitted your application, you can contact the undergrad admissions office and they might be able to change it for you. Unfortunately, that's not something I can do once the application has been submitted because I don't have access to anything until students actually accept their offers, but admissions might be able to assist with that.
Yeah, there was a question, we explained this during the presentation, but just to clarify, what is an interest student?
So an interest student is basically those students who don't meet admission criteria. They don't have a way of submitting their official documents or transcript to show that they meet that GPA requirement. Like I said, some mature students like to not have to contact their college or university from 20 years ago to get a transcript. So sometimes they'll use this path because it's easier for them. It's still a path into the certificate in law. It's just an extra step or two where you have to meet academic progression. So the minimum final grade of C+ in order to be automatically matriculated into the program.
Thanks, Amanda.
Sorry, I was just gonna say there's no difference in costs. There's no difference in anything. The only main difference is you're not submitting any documentation.
And that's great. The next question was related to that. So someone can't access her old transcripts or records. Does it mean that she can only apply as an interest student?
Yes, if you don't have access to your old transcripts, there's no way to submit any form of official documentation, then yes, unfortunately, you would have to apply as an interest student.
Okay. The next question, this might be an admissions related question and we'll try to answer it, but may I know how long it takes to process the admission and to have a response about my application?
So sorry, where are you? So I'd like to go through them here.
Yeah, it's okay.
I
am in the chat.
You're in the
now.
chat?
Yeah, I applied to the university, for a month ago. May I know how to apply for admissions, how long it takes to have a response for my application?
So if you've applied or if you've finished university a month ago, the application for winter term is open until December 1st, so you can submit an application. Generally, undergrad admissions, unfortunately, this time around, they are taking a little bit of a longer process. They've run into some issues with the application, but they are diligently trying to get through them all. But it usually takes a couple of weeks before you'll get a response. But we recommend students that as soon as you submit your application to the certificate to just keep checking your SOLAS. You'll be, once you've submitted your application, you're going to get an email with your student number and everything. So you can go onto your student account and check your to-do list to see if you have to submit a document or not. This is also a way that you can check your application status to see if it's still pending or if you've been offered admission, because when you are offered admission, you have to accept it directly in that program.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Amanda. The next question is, what if you have a degree and you only want to apply as an interest student?
And then you only apply as an interest student.
And that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, a lot of students, you may not want to take the entire program. Some students only want to take 1 or 2 courses. So you can apply as an interest student. And like I said, the option is available to you if you want to go on and pursue the remaining courses in the program.
Yes. Thank you for that. The next question, as I understand, interest students don't need supporting documents. I have applied as an interest student, but I have been asked to get my high school and graduation transcript.
I think this is from the same student.
Yeah.
So again, I would just contact lawcertificate@queensu.ca. Send me an email directly along with your student number so I can look into it.
Perfect. The next question, may I know how to apply for admission? Do I have to go to the university or will, to send my admission requirements, I have to apply by myself? Can you give me a link to admissions? Well, we've posted a link on the chat. If you scroll up, there's a link for the apply page, and there are steps there on how to submit your application. And if you have anything to add, Amanda, is that okay?
I was just going to say, if students, the link is there at the top of the chat, or you can just go to takelaw.ca and go to the apply page, and there's the links directly to the admission portal right from there.
Perfect. I'm interested in starting out as an interest student under Indigenous student applications. Do we have that available?
Unfortunately, we don't have any categories for Indigenous students. It's basically just you're in the program or you're applying as an interest student.
Yes. Still speaking of interest students, are there any avenues for financial aid for interest students?
Not for the, no, unfortunately not. Financial aid is only available to students in the program. So no, there isn't at this time. Unfortunately, there isn't any other avenue for financial aid for interest students.
Okay, thanks, Amanda. The next question, I'll direct this to Lucy or Hugo. I have my BA and my MBA. I'm considering a career change. I'm currently a tech startup marketing executive. I'm thinking about applying to this program to see if I might be interested in switching to a law career. I'm finding more and more that IP law in my current role is in the tech startup world is fascinating me. My question is, have any graduates of certificate in law have gone to pursue their JD either at Queen's or another institution? Or maybe Lucy and Erwin can talk about IP law, specifically Erwin, since you are in that industry right now.
Yeah, I can say, for example, in the province of Ontario, there's a lot of patent agents that are also lawyers. So actually in Ontario, generally speaking, to work as a patent agent, you need a law degree. In Quebec, that's for the time being not the case, but it's what I see slowly emerging in this province is that more and more people that work as patent agents also have law degrees now. So I think that if you are a tech person that's involved in IP, I think a law degree will definitely open up positions in law firms to work in the IP field per se. So I think that, again, a law degree will definitely help in a career in intellectual property.
Thanks, Erwin. I would just like to add to this. While the certificate in law does not guarantee that anyone will be accepted into a law degree, it's a very good springboard or starting point to dip your toes in the water and get a feel of if law is right for you. So if you're not, because being in law or taking law is a commitment. So if you want to see, want to explore, want to enhance your legal knowledge and see if this is right for you, you can take some of the courses, start with that, and then pursue your progression and taking JD or law after. So the next question is about time commitment. So I direct this to Hugo. What is the weekly time commitment to the courses?
Yeah, so just going back to the previous question just briefly. So I just wanted to say we do see a lot of our certificate students go on to law school. And in fact, because I teach in the first year program in law school as well, in the JD program, I see many of those students, and it's actually really neat to see those students having come through the certificate who are now in law school. The certificate program doesn't give you a direct entry to law school, but it does provide you with a good overview of what you're going to be doing in law school. So it is really great that way. In terms of the time commitment, we usually say about 7 to 9 hours a week. That's usually broken down. So there's videos usually that you'll watch, and then there's readings to be done, and there's usually some weekly activities. But you can take that 7 to 9 hours per week, and obviously that's an average. So some weeks will be a little fewer, and some weeks will be a bit more. But the good thing about the online courses is you can build that around your own schedule and do that work when you feel like you have the most time for it.
Thank you so much, Hugo. Then I will scroll. Thank you so much for the questions. We have a couple of more questions and a few minutes left, so we'll try to get through as many as possible. And for those questions that are unanswered, we will be getting back to you via email. We'll be saving the emails, and we will be answering you. Do any of the modules cover healthcare law? I think that's for Hugo.
Yeah, so I mean, as I mentioned with family law earlier, not directly, so we don't have a healthcare law course per se, but we actually touch on healthcare law in a lot of ways. So, for example, in the Introduction to Canadian Law course, you'll cover things like tort law, which talks about, tort law is all about healthcare impacts and insurance law and how that impacts on healthcare. In the Aboriginal law course, we talk about healthcare issues relating to Indigenous peoples, which is obviously a huge issue right now. And in public and constitutional, of course, you'll do some of the constitutional aspects of healthcare measures, for example, public health measures. Which have been a very controversial topic lately. So, we touch on healthcare law in various ways in different courses.
Thanks, Hugo. The next question, I will direct this to Lucy and Erwin. How can we use a certificate in law for our employment or for our careers?
I'll quickly go first. I mean, as I mentioned earlier on, the certificate helped me in my field, for example, in IP and patent law. It'll help me better understand and better read decisions that came out. It'll help me better understand how decisions are structured. If I go quickly on a little side note, in patent law, there is this question of reasonableness, which always boggled my mind. And by doing the certificate, in several of the courses, I kind of got a better understanding of where this reasonableness in decisions comes from. So the certificate helped me, for example, in better reading case law, better understanding case law. It also helped me better understand, for example, within the firm itself, employment law, labor law, so to speak. So I got a better understanding of this as well. So I think generally speaking, it gives you a broader understanding of your work environment.
Yeah, I can echo that. So I think it definitely helped me in terms of being an employee. And like I said, with being in the union, so I really benefited from workplace law. And then just in a general sense, law touches everywhere, like even in marketing and communications, like there are legal matters and things need to go through legal, as people say. So it's good to kind of have an overview and like a brief understanding of kind of, I don't know, the different places that like it'll come up. Like even since I've taken the certificate, there's been different legal terminology and things that have come even in marketing that has come up that I'm like, I understand why that process is in place now. And yeah.
As Lucy said, the law truly is everywhere.
Yeah.
I agree. And thank you so much, Lucy and Erwin, for that. Even if you're not in a career related to law, it will definitely be applicable. You sign contracts every day without you knowing by checking those accept like check boxes whenever you sign up for anything. That's actually part of a contract. So you'll learn more about that if you take Law 201, which is Introduction to Canadian Law. So we have 5 minutes left. I will try to go through some of the questions. Thank you again to everyone for participating. For the other questions, we will get back to you via email for your answers. So the other questions, will classes be online for 2023? I'll answer this. So for winter 2023, Introduction to Canadian Law is offered both in person and online, but for in-person classes, it's for graduates or for undergrad students with Queen's University, and then the rest are online courses. Do students have to take all 7 courses? To qualify for the certificate, you only need to take 4, but if you're interested, like Erwin, you can take all of them. We're not stopping you from doing that. And this is for Hugo. What Indigenous law courses do you offer to enhance someone's grasp of treaty and land history?
Yeah, so our Aboriginal law course obviously will have will deal the most with Indigenous issues, but we also, they are also touched on it in the Introduction to Canadian Law course and in the Public and Constitutional Law course. Those are both also courses that will deal with Indigenous issues in a significant way.
Thank you, Hugo. Aboriginal law is not offered for winter 2023, but it will be offered in the other terms for next year. So last few questions. For the time commitment, are the online live sessions with instructors during daytime or evenings? Just examining how this program fits in my schedule.
Yeah, we offer a variety of those. So there will be some that are scheduled during the daytime for students that prefer that. But then we also offer some evening and weekend sessions because we do understand that many of our students are working full time. So we offer some flexibility with those.
Perfect. And I will ask the last two questions. I'm a Queen's grad, but I'm also a senior citizen. Have other senior citizens been able to handle some of these courses?
Absolutely, and I would say that some of our senior citizens that have taken the course have brought a lot, and have their experience has really helped them. And it's mostly there is some technology involved in the online courses, so some familiarity with the use of technology is helpful, but it's not anything that anyone can't learn and overcome to be able to be successful in the courses.
Thank you, Hugo. The last question for Amanda, is this OSAP eligible?
For if you're in the program, but not for interest students.
Okay, perfect. So I think we've gone through almost all the questions. Thank you so much for participating. Before we end, I would just like to ask some closing words or remarks from our panelists. So we'll start with Hugo and then Amanda, Lucy, and then Erwin.
Sorry. Yeah, just briefly, if you have questions, and you may just reach out. As Amanda mentioned, the website, the email is lawcertificate@queensu.ca. Please reach out. We're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Hugo. Yeah, for Amanda too.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming. And like Hugo said, just if you have any questions, everything is on the website that we mostly talked about today. And if you, or if not, just send an email. Christina just put it up in the chat, lawcertificate@queensu.ca, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Some closing words from Lucy and Erwin.
Yeah, thanks for listening to our experience. I highly encourage you to learn more about the certificate. Find me on LinkedIn if you want to ask more questions about any of the courses or about my experience. But overall, I'm so happy I took this, and I really hope that you apply and get just as much out of it as Erwin and I did.
Thank you, Lucy.
I echo Lucy's comments 100%. First of all, thanks for chiming in. And again, I highly, highly recommend taking the certificate in law. It's extremely useful. It's extremely instructive. So I hope you all sign up for the course because you'll learn a lot from doing so.
Thank you so much, Erwin. And again, I would like to thank everyone for joining this session. We have posted the links in the chat. For any questions, just email Amanda at lawcertificate@queensu.ca if you want to check out the program and learn more about the courses, program requirements, application process. Just visit takelaw.ca. Again, I'm Christina Asperilla. I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator for Queen's Certificate in Law. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and have a great afternoon.